Okay, we're live. So I'm just going to give it a moment for people to tune in, let everyone respond to the notifications and join the session. So I won't be doing anything just yet. So if you're just tuning in, get comfy, get settled. And I'm just going to make sure that I can see what you guys can see because I want to make sure that everything's working okay. Okay, we're live. So cool. Okay, so has anyone tuned in? If you're tuning in, let me know where you're tuning in from. Drop a comment in the live chat. Let me know if you had the thunderstorm yesterday. We had it over here. I'm currently situated in Basingstoke, well, Tadley, which is near Basingstoke. And last night the thunder came over and it was right over the house. Like it was shaking the house. I could feel it in the floorboards. It was crazy. It was so much. I mean, I love lightning and thunder, so I was enjoying it. I know it's not for everyone, but I was loving that. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, let me know. Leave a comment if you've had your little thunderstorm or if it's still on the way, because I think the weather warning is still in place until later, actually, but I'm not too sure. So I can see we've got some people tuning in. Welcome. We'll be starting in a minute. I'm just giving a little bit of time just so everyone can make sure that they're joining if they wanted to join. I think Facebook can send out like a notification that there's a live going on. So just going to make sure everyone's seen that and is tuning in that wants to join. It's funny, I literally, the first time I ever did anything live was here on the virtual village hall. It was during the lockdowns. I think it was during the first set of lockdowns. And I was asked to do a meditation here live on Facebook. And I'd never done anything like that before. And I was so nervous. I was having to use all of my tools, everything I teach, all of my practices to make it through just fine without my voice like quavering. It's a strange dynamic, a strange setup when you've never done something like this before, to be presenting yourself to a faceless crowd, a crowd of people that you have no idea where they are or who they are either. So, but it's come a long way since then, a couple of years. I've done a lot more of these live things since then. So I'm grateful to the Royal Voluntary Service for reaching out to me and asking me to do this, because I feel like if they hadn't done that, I probably wouldn't have done half the live things that I did. It led to me doing like live classes on Facebook during the lockdowns and stuff, and from there it just led to more online things and live things. So yeah, it's been pretty I'm pretty grateful for that, really. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a little bit longer for everyone to tune in, maybe another minute or so, and then we'll be getting started. So if you have already tuned in, we're going to be doing a meditation using the flame of a candle. So before we get started, if you can grab yourself a candle and light it, obviously safely, put it somewhere that there's nothing flammable. And you're going to want to put this flame, if possible, this is very much like do as I say and not as I do, because I'm just having to set up here for the camera right now. But ideally, we want the flame to be kind of in eye line. So that way, when you're sitting, you're not having to put your spine out of alignment. You're not having to look down or look up. You can just look straight forwards at the flame of the candle. That's the ideal. That would be perfect if that's possible. If that's not possible, it's not essential. It's not going to ruin the experience. So don't worry too much. Just get as even to the flame as you can. And that's going to be the best way for you to sit comfortably and do this practice with me. Okay, so I think we'll get started. So So obviously I'm just going to introduce myself. My name is Max, Maximus Walsh. I've been teaching yoga meditation now for almost 7 years. My background is that prior to getting into yoga and meditation, when I was 16, I was diagnosed as having depression, and my mental health issues declined to the point that I had a very sort of it's a rare mental disorder. It's a rare delusion called Cotard's delusion, and the form of Cotard's delusion that I had is that I thought that I was already dead. So I didn't believe that I was alive anymore. I actually believed that my real body was dying in a car crash. I didn't think that this experience was real. I thought it was like a dream that my dying body was creating, and that was a delusion. That was the experience that I was having for a couple of years. And during this time, I ended up homeless, living in my car. And I was on a waiting list. I was being seen by several doctors, and none of them really knew what to do with me. They wanted to put me in a mental hospital, section me on a ward, all this kind of thing. I was very fortunate that my dad always intervened and brought me home and allowed me to kind of go through this mental health delusion, this process at home in the sort of safety and security of my own home. And so eventually, I managed to realize that I could get myself out of it, that I could change my life, and I had an experience that showed me there's something to all this kind of spirituality stuff that I had always dismissed. I'd always sort of poo-pooed it and put it to one side. But I realized, okay, meditation, there's something to it. And obviously back then, this is about, I don't know, what, 10 years ago now? Less, just about, yeah, 9 years ago, I think. Back then, it wasn't so mainstream necessarily, but there was science starting to get involved with it and really indicating the benefits of meditation. And now, as you see before you, I'm happy and healthy. I'm completely mental health free. My delusions are long behind me. I'm doing very well for myself, living a very happy life. Last year, I went traveling around Europe and Costa Rica. I've been to quite a few countries. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like if I can do it, everyone else can do it. Absolutely, definitely. There's like no doubt in my mind that whoever speaks to me about their mental health issues, I'm like, I know you'll be fine. I know that you can turn this around. You just got to know the things to do. You got to know the tools to equip yourself with to implement those changes in your life. So I'm very grateful to be here for Men's Health Week 2023. I'm always happy to be involved with mental health things because I'm one of those people that I've been there. I know what it's like. Some of you watching this right now might be struggling, and I feel you, like I really do. And if you feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, like you can always drop me an email. I've always got people get in contact and just, even if it's just a little acknowledgement or if it's a little conversation or if you want to work with me, like it really doesn't, so long as you know that there's someone here listening to you that understands, like I am happy to be here as that person. So I'm going to share with you a practice. I understand the first thing that started off this Men's Health Week with the Virtual Village Hall was a talk about sort of mental health and the internet and all that kind of stuff. I confess I didn't actually watch it. I'm going to get around to watching that. I was busy this morning, but I will definitely take the time out my day to give that a watch because I'm sure it would be interesting. But knowing that was on earlier, I was sort of inspired to do this practice because it's the idea of if you're on the internet, and most of us nowadays anyway, just with whatever we do, we're sat in front of a screen, and that is majority of our lifestyle. And so this really involves our attention and our focus, but also our eyesight. It really requires us looking at a screen, which we know it's not that bad for our eyesight and all that kind of thing, but long term and obviously sustained kind of exposure to this kind of lifestyle will eventually start to wear and tear. And obviously sitting close to a screen and always having your eyes only working on that sort of distance is going to affect the muscles of your eyes, the strength of your eyes. It's going to cause you to have short-sightedness or long-sightedness. I think it's always the opposite. I can never remember which one it is, but if you're always sat at something that's really close to you, your eyes are not going to be worked enough at the long distance things. So I've thought of using this practice to use the muscles of our eyes to connect to that ability to look and visualize, and show you how to guide your awareness, your focus, your attention from what you're looking into to the inside of yourself. So the best way to do this practice is with a candle, with the flame of a candle, simply because it really gets the imagery in your eye, in your vision. You can do it with anything natural, like a flower or a stone or just something you find beautiful. Try not to make it an object of that's been made. Make it something organic and real and natural and living. I mean, a flame of a candle isn't necessarily alive, but it is, in a way, has that life to it. So try and find something that is beautiful, is alive. And again, the easiest thing is the flame of a candle. And there's two ways of doing this meditation. So we're going to do both of them. The first way is to stare at the flame of the candle, and you're going to stare and look at that flame for as long as you can, as long as you need, until that image of the flame is kind of like burnt into your retina. So once you can sort of close your eyes and still see that flame of the candle, then you're going to close your eyes and you're going to focus on that image of the flame that you can see with your eyes closed for as long as you can. So you're going to sit there, attention inside, and you're going to feel that your vision is here, that you're kind of using that third eye area. And so you're going to try and hold that image of the flame in your mind's eye for as long as you can. Now, as time moves on, the image will start to fade. And when it starts to fade, you just open your eyes and you do the practice again. So again, you stare at the flame, stare as long as you need, close your eyes, see it for as long as you can, it fades, and then again, you just keep continuing. So what we're doing with this is strengthening our ability to focus and to concentrate, but also to focus and concentrate without thinking. When we're really focused on seeing, on looking, on and also kind of remembering something, we're not in a train of thought, and that's really what we're trying to hold our attention on, out of the mind, out of thinking, out of thoughts, and just on sensing something, an experience. So that's one version of the practice, which we'll do for 5-10 minutes. And then the second version is you stare at the flame of the candle and you just don't blink. So you just stare and you stare and you stare. Now, obviously, the longer you do this, your eyes will eventually start to water, and that's fine. You want your eyes to stay damp and moist. Otherwise, I think dry eyeballs are not too good for us to have. So that's why the tear ducts will be functioning, the tears will be rolling. So your eyes will be watering, and that's fine. You're just going to continue with the practice. And it's really about kind of like mind over matter, that subconscious, unconscious desire to kind of blink, that functioning that our body naturally has without us having to have any input with it, without having to think about it. We are bringing our attention, our awareness to that and taking control. So you'll find that you don't need to blink. So long as your eyes are watering, you'll be absolutely fine. It may start to feel like they sting, but you just keep pushing through it. Now, if you blink, okay, that's fine. You just start again, open your eyes, stare at the flame, and continue with the practice for as long as you can. So this second option is also very, very good for your eyesight. You're really using your eyes, you're using the muscles of your eyes, you're looking at something that is soft, that is natural, that is just organic and feels good for the body. And another thing is that our eyes and our optic nerve, just like the rest of our body, which is made of muscle, this can store information inside of it. So our muscles, when we hold on to tension and tightness in the body, that is a stored information. And our eyes, our optic nerve, they can also hold on to tension. That can also be information stored in the body. So if we have seen something in our lives that is, traumatic, for lack of a better word, something that, we didn't want to see, or that was upsetting or distressing, that information can be stored in the eye. And, if we were in an experience where we haven't cried, we didn't allow the tears to come, this is a practice that can allow those tears to come. So sometimes if you do this practice, the second option of this flame meditation, if you do just start crying, brilliant. It's one of those things that it can happen, and if it does, it's because that's what your body needs to do. You're giving it this time and the space to allow your body to now let go, to just release. So if you stopped your tears before, don't stop them this time. Allow them to come. Okay. So whilst you're doing these meditations, I'll obviously talk you through it, and then I'll give you a few minutes just to practice properly. Just because of sort of music licensing and all that kind of stuff, I don't have any music to play. So I would recommend sticking on some whale music or spa music, or something that sounds nice in the background. I am going to be I've got a couple of instruments here, and I am by no means a musician. I'm not skilled at any instrument really, but these are the kind of instruments that you hit them and it just sounds nice. So it's not too complicated. But if I do start playing them and it doesn't come through this nicely, if the audio doesn't really transfer and come out the speakers the other end sounding something that you want on in the background, drop me a comment in the chat and I will stop, just because I'm not sure how it's going to come through. Okay. So to start this practice, you want to be sitting comfortably. If you can, sit cross-legged, or if you can kneel, or some form of sitting is within your practice, is within your capabilities, then by all means sit however's comfortable for you. If you're someone that's preferably sat in a chair or something like that, if you are sat in a chair, all you need to do is make sure that your feet are touching the floor. If they don't touch the floor, put some books under your feet so your feet can be flat on a surface. You then also need to make sure that your knees are lower than your hips. So most chairs nowadays are not really designed to perfectly support our spines. Quite often, the slope of a chair, you sit in it and it kind of goes backwards a little bit, it goes down, so your knees come up higher than your hips. And this is not a good way to sit. This is not a beneficial and proper way for the body to sit, especially for a long period of time. So what you want to try and ensure is that your knees are lower than your hips. So if that means, putting a cushion under your bum or just sitting more forwards on your chair, find a way that your knees can be lower than your hips. So then that will enable you to tilt your pelvis forwards. And if you can tilt your pelvis forwards, then your spine is pretty much going to be set perfectly for how it needs to be for you to sit. If you've got the pelvis tilting forwards, the base of the spine is coming forwards from the hips, from the tailbone. The base of the spine is coming forwards, and it just naturally comes into that S curve. So then you can sit and hold your body as it should be held when you're sitting properly in a meditation practice. And obviously, if those aren't available to you, just manage whatever you can. If sitting isn't working for you, by all means lie down. If you can find some way to lie down and look at the candle, more than anything, just make sure that you're comfortable. Okay. And again, if you can get the flame of the candle, have it in eye line. So try not to have it down or up, simply because if the candle is lower than your eyesight, you're having to look down, spine's coming out of alignment, you're bringing the weight forwards. Again, for long-term sitting, it's going to sort of take its toll. And if you're looking up, again, the weight's going backwards. So just try and find a way that you can have the chin nice and flat, you're looking forwards, and the flame of the candle is directly in line with your eyes. Again, if that's not possible, it's not essential, it's not vital, you can do this practice either way. Okay, but just try and work with those things in mind as best you can. So before we come to the practice of meditation on the flame, on the flame of the candle, just close your eyes for a minute. We'll take a moment just to really come into our breathing, come into our breath, and then when we're ready, I'll guide you through the practice. So sitting comfortably, tilt the pelvis forwards, lengthen through your spine, rolling your shoulder blades backwards and closing your eyes. Just taking a moment to quieten your mind, bringing your focus, your attention into your breath, into your breathing. As you focus on your breath passing through the nose, through the nostrils, observing the cool air coming in through the nostrils and the warmer air passing back out. So not yet taking control of your breathing, just observing your breath as it is, your natural breath. Shifting your awareness, your attention away from thoughts, away from thinking, calming into your body, calming into feeling. Feeling your breath, feeling your body. Watching the expansion, contraction of your lungs, of your rib cage. Noticing where you're breathing into and where you're breathing from. Noticing the quality of your breathing. Is it shallow or is it deep? Is it slow? Is it fast? As you settle into your body, can you soften your shoulders, your jaw, softening your body? No thoughts need thinking about, and there is nowhere else to be. So I would invite you to now open your eyes and just stare at the flame of your candle. Try and find a fixed point to stare at. Now, obviously, if you're in a room and the window's open or something, the flame of your candle might be moving around. Try and fix your eyes on the wick, the part of your candle that is lit, and just hold your vision there. And don't make it an intense stare. Don't really strain your eyes and try and look for more detail. Just softly hold your eyes at this fixed location. You can see the flame in your vision. As it moves, don't follow it. Allow it to move in your vision. Looking, staring for as long as you need, until you feel that when you close your eyes, you can see the flame or the candle still. And so with your eyes closed, focusing on this residual image, however it presents itself. For some people, it will be the flame as you saw. For some people, it's inverted, a different color. Sometimes people only see the candle, not the flame. Maybe even the table that the candle is on top of. It really doesn't matter what it is that you see. Just continue to hold that image in your mind. Whatever visual image has been stored, whatever residual image remains, to try and hold your attention here, hold your focus here for as long as you can. And as you keep looking, maybe eventually as your mind attention wanders, then the image may start to fade away. And once you have lost sight of the imagery, And once again, opening your eyes and staring at the flame. Again, staring for as long as you need. And once more, when the image is there, closing your eyes and focusing. So I'm going to allow you to practice this in your own time. If you have any questions, please leave a comment and I can directly respond to you on here. I just realized I was on the wrong section of this website. I now see people were commenting on the video, so I apologize for having not responded to you earlier. But for now, just practicing with the flame of a candle. I'll give you a few minutes to practice. And whilst you practice, I'll offer some pleasant sounds. Okay. So, of course, if you are tuning back in and not watching this live, you are more than welcome to pause the video and continue with this practice, this version of the flame meditation for as long as you like. Otherwise, now moving into the second way of practicing this meditation. And so this time now, rather than closing the eyes, you're just going to stare at the flame for as long as you need, for as long as you can, sorry. So again, fixing your eyes on the wick, on something, on the part of the flame that is not moving, holding your vision here, and then just staring without blinking. So as you stare longer and longer, obviously that desire, that urge to blink starts to move inside of you, that unconscious energy, that unconscious work. Try to maintain control. Try to stop yourself from blinking. And again, just hold your vision for as long as you can. As you start to feel your eyes stinging or whatever presents itself, don't think about it, don't worry, definitely don't panic. Just continue with your practice. Know that it's safe, know that you're fine. Know that right now you're healing your eyes. You're improving your focus, your concentration, and who knows how many other benefits that may come from this. We can all do the same practice and have a completely different experience. Different things can be moved, different things can be shifted. So whatever happens, whatever stirs inside of you, whatever comes, allow it to come. This is a safe practice. Of course, in meditation, discomfort is a regular experience. If you're meditating and you're not regularly encountering discomfort of some form, of some degree, well, then you're not really meditating properly. True meditation will always take us to areas that can be uncomfortable, can be a struggle. And it is the ability to remain with the practice, to stay focused, to continue with the meditation despite all of this, to not respond, to not react, to accept whatever experience you're going through in this moment in time. You know, if you're just sitting and focusing on your breathing or staring at the flame of a candle, there's no threat, there's no danger. As you drop deeper with practices, things may move inside of you that tell you there is, that tells you that there is a threat, that there is danger. And these are just old things, old behaviors, old lessons that we've picked up in our lifetime. But if we are practicing, if we are creating this safe space for ourselves and something like this moves inside of us, then that experience of it is just a releasing. The same way that to heal a splinter, you must first of all remove the splinter. And that hurts, that stings. But once it's taken out, once it's removed, then the pain is gone and now you're healing. And it's the same with meditation. Meditation allows us to find splinters that we didn't even know we had, to allow them to leave us, gives us the opportunity to pull them out. And once they're gone, you're healed. Sometimes it can happen instantaneously, take you by surprise, or it may be a longer process, requires patience. It really entirely depends on what it is that needs to be healed. And so if you do find these practices a struggle, if you sit down and try to focus or try to concentrate and you keep getting distracted, or your attention keeps wandering, that's fine. Don't dwell on it, don't think about it. Allow yourself to go through this natural process the way that you normally function, and accept it. Accept that your mind wanders, that you become distracted. Okay. Because once you accept this, then you can come back to your practice. If you're doing this practice now and you're trying to stare at the flame of a candle and there's birds out the window or there's sounds out the window and your mind keeps wandering to these things, that in itself is not a problem. That's fine. That is a perfectly normal human function that evolutionarily has its purposes. But it's how we respond to these unconscious behaviors that we have. If you get distracted and then you respond by getting irritated or frustrated, you push these behaviors deeper inside of yourself. They become more and harder to overcome. You have to accept yourself as you are to make the change. If you become frustrated and angry that you have a short attention span, then you're never going to be able to change that, because the only reason you're frustrated or angry about it is because you do not want to be that way. You want yourself to be another way. You cannot allow yourself to become another way if you cannot accept how you already are. And so these practices, as simple as they may be, can really take us deep inside of ourselves, can really show us things about ourselves that may surprise us. I can honestly tell you now, over the last few years of practicing, I have had huge surprises. It's amazing how much you cannot know about yourself, or how much you can forget about yourself. So stare at the flame of the candle, get distracted, allow your mind to wander, but every time, just come back to your practice. Every time you do that, every single time you catch yourself, accept and come back. Every time you do that, think of it like, if you went to the gym and you were lifting weights, and every time you did a rep, you're making that muscle stronger and stronger. Or every time your attention wanders or you become distracted, but you come back to your practice, every time you do that is another rep. Every time you do that, you've become stronger, more aware. Eventually, you'll be able to focus on things for as long as you need. You'll recognize, okay, I've become distracted. I'll come back to reading my book. Okay, my mind has wandered. I'll come back to writing this essay. It doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. The ability to reapply your focus, your concentration, is key. And that simple. It's a skill. It's a simple skill. But to really harness that unlocks a world of possibilities for you. You can really do anything you put your mind to, because you'll be putting your mind to it and keeping your mind on that. So I'll give you a few minutes longer just to practice staring at the flame of a candle. Again, try not to blink. If you start crying, start crying. If the tears come, you're just keeping your eyes nice and wet so you can see for longer. Whatever's happening is a beautiful process. There will be no benefit to wishing your experience was otherwise or different. Be in the experience that you are in. Again, accept it. Only when you accept things can you change it. To accept something is to understand it. To accept yourself is to understand yourself. To understand why you have a short attention span is to know how to change that. So a few more minutes. Again, I'll deliver some nice sounds whilst you stare. Okay. So just closing our eyes. I'm going to bring the practice to a close. Just close your eyes and observe how you're now feeling. How you feel inside of yourself. Now you've had this time to be still, to be soft, to be quiet. Doesn't matter if you've found peace or not. Be in your body, in whatever experience it is having now. Thank yourself for giving yourself this time, for giving this time to you. A moment to pause, to restore yourself, to do something good for you. And then when you're ready, opening your eyes. And that is all we have time for. So I did nearly get carried away playing these instruments. Actually, I was had to stop myself, and I think I would have been playing for another 5 or 10 minutes. I got quite wrapped up in that. So I apologize if it wasn't really offering much. Like I said, I'm no musician. In fact, that's the first time I've ever even played these instruments, really. So yeah, by all means, if that was no good during your practice, mute it and do the practice without. Use your own sounds, your own music. But if you've tuned in live, thank you so much. If you're tuning in at a later time, thank you, everyone. I really hope this practice gives you something. If it doesn't, or if it does, feel free to get in touch. I can always offer some assistance, give you a few pointers. If it's not working out, we can try and figure out what's going on. And yeah, for anyone who would like to reach out, get in contact, whatever, work with me, or just have a browse, you can see my information here on the screen, my Facebook page, and my website, meditationmax.com. And yeah, just thank you all very much for sharing this time with me. I wish you all the best, and take care. Thank you very much.